So again, the teams here on the ground and the crew on board the Soyuz are watching the Kur's antenna, making sure that it's staying consistently locked up with the antenna that it'll use on the space station to guide itself in. Right now that's looking good, but they are keeping an eye on it and will be ready to conduct the docking manually if needed.
Okay, copy. The Boris, based on the telemetry, the descent burn is 28. At your display, your settings are 89.6. The settings are on the display, correct? Yes, the settings for the maneuver. That's correct, copy. Standing by for 15 kilometers, copy.
As you heard mentioned there, the crew is coming up on the 15-kilometer point. That's 9.3 miles away from the International Space Station. So far on their journey to the space station, they've had 3 thruster impulses to help fine-tune the Soyuz's path to the space station. They tested out those hand controllers that they would use if they were needed to do a manual docking. And of course, they've been working with the Kur's antenna consistently throughout the journey. Some of the milestones that we'll be watching for as they do close the gap between the Soyuz and the space station are coming up in just a few minutes. The activation of the TV on board the Soyuz that hopefully will give us some views that we'll be able to share with you. And then they've got 3 more thruster impulses that will continue to perfect the path they're taking.
As operating angular rates are on the rise, copy. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Copy. 11:05:43 is lock on. Copy.
Seeing here views from both the flight control room here in Mission Control Houston and also the one in Korolev, Russia, where the Russian flight controllers are watching over the systems. The team is led here in Houston by Marcos Flores, who is today's flight director, and seated next to him there on the screen is ESA, European Space Agency astronaut, Andrei Morgensen.
15 for now. Copy.
Mogensen is acting as the Capcom for today, so you will be hearing him speak occasionally with, in particular, the crew on board the International Space Station. Rubins, Ryzhikov, and Kuzberchkov are all working towards a meetup with the Expedition 63 crew that's already on board the International Space Station. Chris Cassidy, Anatoly Ivanishin, and Ivan Wagner. Those 3 have been here at the space station since April, and they'll have just about a week to hand things over to the incoming crew before they are scheduled to come back to Earth on October 21st, landing in Baikonur, or rather in Kazakhstan.
Ждем включения передатчика.
Standing by for initiation of the transmitter.
Слово С крайне 33, дальность 11.
Final value is 33, range is 11.
Принято, хорошо.
Copy, good.
Основной передатчик телевизионный включен.
The main
Принято.
video transmitter is on. Copy, we are receiving image. For now, it is not a clear image, but we are receiving it.
Есть подключение режима GPS.
GPS mode is on. Confirmed. Copy.
Дальность 9 километров, скорость 15.
Range is 9 kilometers, velocity is 15.
Пока в тени.
Everything is nominal. We are in eclipse right now.
Принято.
Copy.
Soyuz currently about 9 kilometers or 5.5 miles away from the International Space Station, continuing to make its careful journey in. That will be a slow and steady process as always. There'll be a series of thruster impulses, one at 3:21 a.m., one at 3:25, and one at 3:28 that will make those last changes to the Soyuz's path before they get into place for the fly around of the International Space Station. That's scheduled to start at 3:31 a.m. Right now, everything still looking good with the Kerr's antenna issue we've been watching. But once again, the crew did perform a good checkout of the hand controllers they would use for a manual docking if that were necessary. At the moment, looking like it will not be, but we'll be keeping an eye on that.
Фаворится по Москве.
We're starting to get now some video from the Soyuz. This is a view of the computer screens the crew on board has access to, showing them the their range from the International Space Station and the rate they're closing in on it at.
Copy.
Спасибо.
Thank you.
Kerr's antenna still locked in and performing well. Again, the Kerr's is an antenna, or the system on the Soyuz that's used to guide the spacecraft in for its docking at the International Space Station. It uses radar to guide the Soyuz in, locking up with a counterpart antenna on the space station. But in the event that it's not able to be used or not working correctly, then the crew is able to use a forward-facing window in the Soyuz to take manual measurements of the distance and closing speed with a laser rangefinder. And they can use that information to dock manually. But again, right now, CURS is locked up on the space station, providing all the information the crew needs for the normal automated docking. So we'll be keeping an eye and hoping that holds and no manual docking will be necessary. Docking is scheduled for 3:52 a.m. Central, although that can shift a little bit depending on how the milestones proceed. That is what we were aiming for today, though. Again, on board the Soyuz, we have Kate Rubins, Sergei Ryzhikov, and Sergei Kuzberchkov, all making their way for a meetup with the Expedition 63 crew on board the space station: Chris Cassidy, Anatoly Ivanishin, and Ivan Wagner.
MCC Moscow, speed is 10.6. Everything is good on board, we feel well. How do you copy? Copy all.
Sergei Ryzhikov there reporting down to the ground that the crew's doing well, ready for today's docking. Again, everything's looking good at the moment. All the systems performing as expected for today's 3:52 a.m. Central docking.
Поворот, дальность 3,5 километра, скорость 9,8. На борту порядок.
MCC Moscow, this is Tabor's. The range is 3.5. The speed is 9.8. Copy.
Принято.
Ballpark for exiting the eclipse zone is 11.8.
Завершается наддув кислородом.
Copy. We are completing the pressurization using oxygen of the descent module.
Принято.
Copy.
Есть разворот, есть тормоз, станция ушла вправо.
Maneuver is
Опять влево.
in work.
Вверх.
The station has moved off to the left and to the top.
Есть снятие подачу А2.
Oxygen feed is
Принято.
stopped. Copy.
СН-1 КСВ. Есть работа ДПО.
Depot operation is confirmed.
Уменьшается угловые скорости. Есть обобщенный ГСО. Есть ГСО 1, 2, 3, 4.
Angular rates are observed. GSO 1, 2, 3, 4 is confirmed.
1908.
Copy 11908
Набрали 2,5.
and 44.
Набрали 4.
We are gaining 2.5, gaining 4.
20. Доработка ДПО.
We are continuing the operations. The BOA is continuing.
Принято.
Copy.
Soyuz is about 2.5 kilometers or 1.5 miles away from the International Space Station right now,
Идет обратный разворот.
closing in
Угловые скорости.
Reverse.
at a speed of 4.7 meters per second, about 10 miles per hour. You can follow along with that on this screen by looking at the two numbers in the bottom left-hand corner. That gives you the top one gives you the range to the International Space Station in kilometers, and the bottom gives you the closing rate in meters per second.
Есть включение ДПО.
And you can see there the International Space Station coming into view from the Soyuz cameras. They'll be working to get it lined up with that cross in the middle before they head in for a docking on the Rosvet docking port. That's on the Earth-facing side of the Russian segment.
At your discretion.
Работали пересветкой станцию, наблюдаем на ВКО.
We see in the overlay the station on the VACO. Copy.
Мы тоже также наблюдаем.
We also see the station.
ГСО обобщенное есть.
We see the image.
Принято.
Okay. Copy.
Дальность 1,8, скорость 4,8. Слово от штата.
Distance is 1.8, speed is 4.8.
Автоматическое сближение.
Everything is nominal. We are continuing automatic approach. Copy.
As you're hearing, everything continuing to go well with the Kurz antenna that we had seen some dropouts with earlier. It seems to have locked up and be working well as it begins to guide the Soyuz in for its docking at 3:52 a.m. Central Time, about 30 minutes away now. They're just about a mile away from the International Space Station at this point, so that space station in the center of the screen is going to keep getting bigger as they keep getting closer, traveling about 10.5 miles per hour at this time.
Copy.
At 3:31 a.m. Is when the Soyuz is scheduled to begin its fly around of the International Space Station. That'll be lining it up with that Rosvet docking port that they're aiming for today. They aim to finish that by 3:38 a.m. when they'll begin station keeping, just keeping up exactly with the space station, maintaining speed and distance, and then hopefully begin their final approach at 3:40 a.m. Central.
Дальность 1200, скорость 4.
Range is 1,200. Speed is 4.4. Copy.
Есть включение депо.
Depot activation is on.
11:23:55.
11:23:55. Copy.
Продолжается торможение с использованием депо. Дальность минус 1000.
Getting our first live views here from the cameras on board the International Space Station, and right there at the top left-hand corner of the screen, you can see the Soyuz MS-17 with its three-person crew inside: Kate Rubins, Sergei Ryzhikov, and Sergei Kuzhkov, all ready to make their way to the International Space Station. The cameras here will be trying to keep it in view as it moves in closer. It's now less than a kilometer away, and that's less than or just about half a mile away from the International Space Station, continuing to move in now at a rate of 2.5 meters per second, or about 5.5 miles per hour.
Everything went nominally. Copy.
And Flight Director Marcos Flores has just given the go for the Roscosmos flight control team to take over attitude control of the International Space Station. Normally that's maintained over here using the gyroscopes on the U.S. side of the space station, but they'll hand over that control for the remainder of the Soyuz's journey towards the International Space Station. Kerr's antenna continuing to stay locked up with the space station. So at this time, we're still expecting the usual automated docking of the Soyuz, though the crew will be standing by to take over for manual docking if necessary.
Есть включение депо 11:26:23 по параболе торможения. Дальность 680.
At 11:26:23, we can confirm ignition of the depot thrusters. The range is 680. Copy.
Депо отработали.
The depot thrusters have
1:67, дальность 650.
been used.
Наблюдаем МИМ-1.
We see MRM-1 on the station.
Принято.
Copy.
Качество изображения на ВКУ.
We have
Резкое.
a good image on the VKO.
Хорошо.
Everything on board is good. Copy.
View you're seeing behind the Soyuz there is looking down at the coast of South America. The space station and Soyuz are traveling northeast, and will be crossing over some of the coastline there in the next few minutes before they head out across the Atlantic Ocean towards the coast of Africa. They're just now moving into the daylight portion of this orbit, so that's why we're beginning to get better views. Soyuz continuing to make its smooth and steady journey towards the International Space Station. Right now, still about half a kilometer away, or about a third of a mile.
Range is 500. Speed is 1164. Angular rates.
Ожидаем. Исход режима облет на дальность 7400. Принято.
And we are standing by. Copy.
If docking occurs on time at 3:52 a.m. Central Time, the space station in Soyuz will be about 258 miles above the South Pacific, west of Peru.
Range is less than 400. Velocity is low 53.
Принято, есть облет.
Copy, fly around in progress.
And you heard that call? Confirming that the Soyuz is starting its fly around a couple of minutes early. Timeline can fluctuate a little bit as needed during these operations, but everything's still going smoothly. The Kerr's antenna is still performing as it's supposed to, so still working on that, working towards that automated docking around 3:52 a.m.
Продолжается разворот по кренам. Дальность 320.
We are continuing the maneuver along the roll axis. Copy.
С этого ракурса М1 гораздо лучше нам.
We see MRM1 much better now.
Принято.
Copy.
Отработали депо, пуск самолета построена.
The depot thrusters have operated.
Дальность 300.
Range is 300.
Принято.
Copy.
Контролируем К-15.
Monitoring K-15.
Линейка выбрана, ждем.
Принято.
Again, this view showing the Earth behind the Soyuz about 260 miles above Brazil, just about to reach the coastline and head out over the Atlantic Ocean.
Дальность здесь 60, скорость 0,53.
Range is 60.
Принято.
Speed is 0.53.
Soyuz still working on that fly around of the International Space Station, moving in to line up with the Rosvet module that it'll be docking to today.
дальность, скорость 0,4, визуально подтверждение.
250 is the range, the speed is 0.4.
ПГО ФГБ, одна клетка.
Now moving less than a mile per hour at this point, and about less than a quarter of a mile away from the International Space Station.
Пока ориентируемся между АКР.
And I should actually say closing in at a rate of less than a mile per hour, because of course the Soyuz and space station are both traveling around the Earth about 17,000 miles per hour.
35.
The
Speed is 0.35. Copy.
mile per hour is the difference in their speed that allows them to meet up together.
Ветеровщенный ГСО.
Есть курсовский причал.
Причал is powered on. Copy and confirm.
220, визуально подтверждаю.
Range is 220.
К-15.
Принято, есть заведение.
Copy.
In the next few minutes, the Soyuz should be finishing up this fly around and begin the station keeping portion of today's docking. At that point, they will be matching the space station speed, not gaining on it or losing speed.
Access.
That'll last for just a few minutes, just a couple minutes actually, before they begin the final approach, which should take about 12 minutes, setting them up for that 3:52 a.m. Central Time docking.
Docking port on MRM-1. Copy.
Cruise antenna still showing a good lockup with the antennas on board the space station that it will use to guide it in for today's docking using radar.
Дальность 200, визуально подтверждаю.
Visually, we can confirm that the range is 200.
Принято.
Copy.
Фаворы, подготовьте сразу
Boris,
включение фары.
please prepare the commands for turning off the headlights.
Подготовлено.
Command is ready.
Подсвет. Рассеивающий кран устанавливать не будем. Условия для наблюдения по ВСК хорошие.
The conditions for monitoring using the OSCAR are good. Copy.
Работа ДПО есть, завкон. Дальность 189.
The BUA operation is confirmed. Range is 189. Confirmed.
Включаем.
We are in OSCAR, turning on the light. Turning on the headlight.
Работает по 50.
Headlight is on. Working through procedure 54.
Да, выдаем причал.
On your go, we will put in the command for final approach.
В 11:37:20 выдан причал.
Your go, we put in the command at 11:37:20. Copy.
Есть причал.
Copy, final approach is in work.
And the Soyuz crew there starting final approach a couple of minutes early, 3:37 a.m. Central Time rather than the 3:40. That is not unusual. The timeline can adjust as the crew makes the various milestones. So that means we may be a little bit early on today's docking as well. It's scheduled for 3:52 a.m., but we might see them arrive at the space station a little earlier than expected.
Worked. We are at 081. Copy. Heading towards the docking port. Hard copy. Copy all.
ГСО обобщенный, ГСО 1, 2, 3, 4 имеется.
We have confirmation of GSO full and GSO 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Дальность 150.
Range is 150.
Продолжаем автоматическое причаливание.
We are continuing in automatic docking mode.
Принято.
Continuing in the automatic docking mode as expected. Everything working well. Space station and Soyuz are currently about 260 miles above the Atlantic Ocean, about to cross over the coast of Africa. above West Sahara.
Дальность 120, скорость 0,67.
The range is 120, velocity is 067.
Наблюдаю по ВСК стыковочную мишень.
We see the docking target using OSK. Copy.
Продолжается автоматическое причаливание, идем устойчиво.
Automatic docking is continuing nominally.
Левее полклетки.
Looking down the barrel at the orbital module of the Soyuz that connects to the descent module that the crew sits in for launch and then also for landing. But this part of the Soyuz has the docking mechanism in it and the hatch that connects it with the space station. This part it will be meeting up with the Rosvet module on the International Space Station, where today's docking is occurring. International Space Station crews waiting for them on the other side. That's Chris Cassidy, Anatoly Ivanishin, and Ivan Wagner.
The range is 70, velocity is 03. I can visually confirm. Copy.
Дальность 55 метров, скорость 0,20.
Range is 55 meters, speed is 023.
Мишень практически в центре ВСК, левее полклетки.
The docking target is practically at the center, just a little bit off to the left.
Есть готовность ССП. Контролируем команды.
We are monitoring the commands.
Дмитрий 13. Горит. Дмитрий 17. Горит. Сергей 11. Горит. ССП готов.
Soyuz is just about 140 feet away from the space station now.
Готовность ССЗП.
Copy SSFP. Ready.
Automated docking still going well, and the Kurz antenna staying locked up.
45, скорость 0,16. Визуально подтверждаю 1,5 клетки.
The range is 45, velocity is 016. We have a visual confirmation on the docking target. Copy.
Дальность 40, скорость 0,15. Отчетливо наблюдаю по ВСК.
Range is 45, velocity is 016. We can clearly see the target via the OSK. Copy.
Продолжаем устойчивое качание.
View here of what the crew on the Soyuz side of this equation is seeing as they move in towards that Rosvet module.
We have confirmation on the range, which is 30 meters, velocity is 012.
Небольшое расхождение по тангажу рыскания. В пределах ширины.
Just a little over 100 feet away from the docking port on Rosvet now, and still moving steadily in. They'll be working to get those crosshairs lined up exactly with the docking hatch as they move in closer.
Есть база Р, есть инструкция готовности ССВТ.
Base Air is confirmed.
Принято, есть база Р.
Copy. Base Air is confirmed.
Небольшое отклонение по крену влево.
Small deviation along the roll axis to the left.
Дальность 20, принято. Выдел чист.
Range is 23.
По ВСК не наблюдаем.
We don't see any extra objects via the OSCOM.
Принято.
75 feet away from the space station now, and the automated docking system continuing to guide the Soyuz in. Beautiful views behind the Soyuz there of Morocco. Soyuz and space station are just about to pass over the border of Morocco and out towards the Mediterranean Sea.
Speed is 900s.
Крен небольшой есть влево.
A bit of a roll to the left.
Так, визуальная дальность 10, показывает 13.
Visual range is 10. Based on indication, it is
Визуальная скорость подтверждаем.
13. Visually, we can confirm the velocity.
Визуальная дальность порядка 5 метров.
Visual range about 5 meters.
Небольшое расхождение по тангажу.
Small deviation along the pitch.
Принято.
Copy.
Can see the orbital module of the Soyuz there, just about lined up and coming in for the docking on the Rosvet module of the International Space Station.
Центр мишени ниже полклетки.
The center of the target is a little bit lower, half a square lower.
Есть касание, есть подвод, есть механизм соединения.
Contact is confirmed. Indicator mode.
Принято.
Copy.
Есть СК. 48.
Sarka is confirmed.
В 11:48:50.
At 11:48,
Принято.
Copy.
As you can see there, 3:48 a.m. Central Time. Soyuz has arrived at the International Space Station at the Rosvet module, while the
Spherical tanks in the first section, pressure is 144, 485.
Отключаем фару.
Turning off the headlamp,
Узкий угол.
transitioning to the narrow angle, copy.
57-й страница.
Working on page 57.
Подаем. Вывел R7.
Okay, copy.
F-18.
F-118.
На МП-2 просьба выбрать формат ССП.
Please select the displays 60R.
Принято.
Copy.
again, the Soyuz MS-17 safely arrived at the International Space Station, made contact with the space station at Rosvet docking port on the Rosvet module at 3:48 a.m. Central, while the two vehicles were flying 261 miles above the Mediterranean Sea. NASA astronaut Kate Rubins and Roscosmos cosmonauts Sergei Ryzhikov and Sergei Kudryashkov all arrived at the International Space Station now, and it's just a matter of getting the hatches between the two vehicles open.
Фавор, ждем от вас первый замер.
The boards were standing by for your first measurements.
На связи Фавор.
Everything's great. We are here online.
Высота давления. Высота 797. В бортовом отсеке 813.
Reading off the measurements of pressure in the descent module, in the orbital module.
Again, today's docking of Soyuz MS-17 spacecraft to the International Space Station occurred right on a little ahead of schedule, actually, at 3:48 a.m. Central Time. It's about 4 minutes earlier than it was expected. Two spacecraft were traveling 261 miles over the Mediterranean Sea when the Soyuz officially arrived and delivered Kate Rubins, Sergei Ryzhikov, and Sergei Kudryashkov to the International Space Station, where they'll be joining Chris Cassidy, Anatoly Ivanishin, and Ivan Wagner, members of the Expedition 63 crew. Two crews will have about a week together to hand things over to the newcomers, give them a little time to adjust and learn the ropes before the Expedition 63 crew will be departing.
Тут Фавора есть разрешение на второй секции готово. Второй секции году. Защелки выдвинут погас, защелки втянутые, не горит, крюки закрыты.
Retraction is complete.
Once again, following this morning's 12:45 a.m. Central Time launch and 2 quick orbits of the Earth, the Soyuz MS-17 has caught up with the International Space Station and docked to its Rosvet module on the Russian side of the space station, delivering with it Kate Rubins, Sergei Ryzhikov, and Sergei Konspirchkov. They are safely at the International Space Station and now have a series of leak checks and other preparations to make before they can open the hatches between the two vehicles. Following today's 3:48 a.m. Central Time docking. With that successful docking, we're going to take a pause in our coverage for today and come back at 5 a.m. Central Time, when we will be covering the hatch opening between the two vehicles. Between now and then, at the top of the hour, we'll have our post-launch video file giving you a replay of some of the highlights today. And then again, we will be back at 5 a.m. Central for hatch opening coverage. Hatch opening is expected around 5:45 a.m. Central. So stick with us a little while longer, and we'll see all of the new crew members of Expedition 63 and 64 together for the first time, a little after 5 a.m. Central Time. This is Mission Control Houston.
We hear you.